Welcome back to the deep dive. We spend a lot of time on this show talking about, modern problems, productivity, technology, the grind.
hmm
But sometimes the best way to understand human nature is to look backward, way backward.
It's true.
Today, we are unpacking a narrative that on the surface, it really looks like a fairy tale, but underneath, it's a masterclass in negotiation, agency, and the difference between hard power and soft power.
It is a fascinating text. We're looking at an excerpt from the larger collection known as The Sorcerer's Trial and The Princess of Rum, specifically the story focusing on the vizier.
Right.
And you're right, it reads like high fantasy, but the foundations are, well, they're deeply historical.
And it centers on this concept of the impossible quest. We see this everywhere.
Right, yeah.
In video games, in corporate restructuring goals, even in dating. I want a partner who is 6'5", makes 7 figures, and, volunteers at the animal shelter. It's that list of demands that feels designed to make everyone fail.
Exactly. It's a gatekeeping mechanism.
Yeah.
But what stands out in this specific source material is the setting. We aren't in a generic kingdom far, far away.
No.
We are in the court of Caliph Harun al-Rashid in Baghdad. This is the 8th or 9th century, the height of the Islamic Golden Age. Baghdad is the intellectual center of the world.
And the text jumps right into high-stakes geopolitics. The caliph has a plan. He isn't looking for a magic lamp. He's looking for a strategic alliance. He wants to marry his son to the daughter of the emperor of Rum. Now, before we go further, we should probably clarify rum, because that tricks people up. We aren't talking about the drink.
No, and we aren't talking about Rome, Italy either. In the historical context of the Middle East during this period, rum refers to the Byzantine Empire,
Okay.
the Eastern Roman Empire, headquartered in Constantinople. So picture the map. You have the Caliphate in Baghdad and the Byzantine Empire in Constantinople. These are the two superpowers of the known world.
Huge rivals.
Huge. They are rivals, they're often at war, and they are massively powerful.
So this marriage proposal isn't a romance, it's a merger. It's like the United States and the Soviet Union trying to marry off their children during the Cold War to stop the fighting.
That is a perfect analogy. The stakes are incredibly high.
Mm.
Harun al-Rashid decides the best way to secure his dynasty is to ally with his greatest rival.
Yeah.
To make this happen, he doesn't send a soldier. He sends his fixer.
Right. He sends Jafar al-Barmaki.
He does.
And I feel like Fixer undersells him a bit based on the text.
Yeah.
Jafar is the Grand Vizier. I mean, in terms of hierarchy, isn't he basically the second most powerful man in the empire?
He absolutely is. The Barmkid family were legendary administrators. Jafar is the Grand Vizier, the Prime Minister, the Chief of Staff, all rolled into one.
So when you send Jafar...
When you send Jafar, you are telling the other nation, we are taking this with absolute seriousness. And the source text spends a lot of time detailing the preparation for this journey.
Yeah.
It's not just a diplomatic pouch. It's a caravan designed to shock and awe.
I made a note of the inventory list in the text because it's just staggering. It lists chests of gold, specific jewels, rare silks, and spices. It feels like he's trying to buy the alliance outright.
It's economic warfare disguised as a gift. He travels from Baghdad to Constantinople with a display of wealth that stretches for miles.
Wow.
The message to the Byzantine emperor is, we are not coming to you as beggars. We are your equals, perhaps even your superiors. He arrives in Constantinople, gets the audience, and presents the proposal.
And honestly, I expected the conflict to start here. Usually in these stories, the foreign king is the villain. He says, no, get out of my palace.
Right.
But the Emperor of Rum is actually pretty chill about it.
He's a pragmatist. He sees the gold. He knows the geopolitical reality, and he thinks, this is a fantastic deal.
Yeah.
The text says he received Jafar with honor.
Right.
He calls his daughter, Princess Shirin, the light of his palace. And he tells Jafar, if your prince is worthy, I will consent.
If he is worthy, there's always a catch. But the dad is on board. The problem is the daughter.
Enter Princess Shirin. And the text gives her a very specific characterization. She isn't just a passive prize to be traded for an alliance.
No.
She is described as wise, proud, and beautiful. She sits in the court, hears this business deal being hammered out, and she decides to intervene.
She asserts her agency. She basically stands up and says, hold on, I have conditions.
She does. She declares that she will marry no man unless he performs 3 specific tasks. And this is where the story shifts genres. We go from a political thriller to a metaphysical mystery.
Okay, let's unpack these 3 tasks because they aren't your standard go kill the dragon or fetch the golden apple. They feel very aesthetic.
They are poetic, yes.
Yeah.
But if you look closer, They are about fundamental control over reality. They are physically impossible for the time and arguably for our time in the way she describes them.
So the first one, the garden.
The garden. She demands a garden where flowers of every season bloom at the same time.
Okay, so think about the biology of that. She isn't just asking for a pretty bouquet. She's asking for the collapse of time.
Exactly. You cannot have a spring tulip, a summer lily, an autumn chrysanthemum, and a winter jasmine peaking at the exact same moment. They require different light, different temperatures.
Different biological triggers.
Yeah.
So by asking for that, she's asking for a suitor who can conquer the seasons.
Yes. She is demanding mastery over time and entropy. Then look at the second task, the bird.
Right. She wants a bird that specifically announces the sunrise with its song.
Now, roosters crow in the morning, lots of birds sing at dawn, but the text implies she wants a bird that intentionally announces the sun.
Oh, interesting.
She wants a causal link, a creature that acknowledges the celestial event with a song of perfect sweetness. It's subtle, but it implies a command over nature.
A creature that performs on cue for the cosmos.
Precisely. And then the third task, which I think is the most visually impossible, the robe.
The color-changing robe. She wants a garment that is sky blue by day and earth brown by night.
I mean, today we have smart fabrics and LEDs, but in the 9th century, you have vegetable dyes, you have crushed beetles.
A dye is static. Once it's blue, it stays blue.
It stays blue. She is asking for material that fundamentally alters its interaction with light based on the time of day.
So time, nature, and perception. She's setting the bar at God tier.
And Jafar the Vizier, he's a smart guy, he's a politician. He looks at this list, and he knows he is beaten. He doesn't even try to negotiate.
No.
The text says he was stunned. He tells her flat out, "Princess, these things cannot be done by mortal hands."
Which is a fair assessment. He's a realist.
He knows his cool kid. He has money, he has armies, he has spies. None of those things can make winter jasmine bloom in July. So he packs up the gold, turns the caravan around, and goes back to Baghdad in total defeat.
And this is where I find the story fascinating as a leadership case study. He goes back to Caliph Harun al-Rashid, the most powerful man on earth, and says, "I failed. I expected the Caliph to just fly into a rage."
But he doesn't. And this is why Harun al-Rashid is such a legendary figure. He listens to the description of the tasks, he frowns, thinks about it, and then he diagnoses the problem. He says, "This is not a diplomatic problem. This is a challenge of magic."
He identifies that they were using the wrong operating system.
Exactly. He realizes that sending a diplomat to solve a magical puzzle is like trying to open a locked door with a spoon. It's just the wrong tool.
Right.
He says, we must find someone who can accomplish the impossible.
And this is where the prince, the guy who is actually supposed to get married, is noticeably absent from the story.
He doesn't step up.
No. Instead, we get a completely new character, Abdullah.
Abdullah is the unlikely hero. He's not a general. He's not a royal. The text describes him simply as a young man in Baghdad who is clever and learned in sorcery.
But there's a crucial detail there about why he gets involved.
Yes, it's not for the reward. It's not for the glory. He's in love with the princess.
Secretly in love with her. Secretly in love with her from afar. Now, they've never met. It's that classic folklore trope. He has heard tales of her wisdom and beauty, and he has this, idealized connection. But the text emphasizes that this love is genuine. It's the engine that drives his power.
So he hears about the failed mission, and he realizes, wait a minute, I can do this. He goes to Jafar, which takes some nerve, walking up to the Grand Vizier and says, "Put me in, I can fulfill the tasks."
And Jafar, who is probably desperate to save face with the Caliph, agrees. They load up the caravan again, which must have been a logistical nightmare, and head back to Constantinople.
And Abdullah steps into the court. This is where the deep dive into the magic gets really interesting, because the text visualizes exactly how he solves these riddles.
Right, he doesn't just snap his fingers.
No. Let's break down the execution, starting with the garden.
Yeah.
How does he pull off the all-seasons trick?
Abdullah uses his secret knowledge, which in this context implies a blend of alchemy and illusion, to manipulate the environment itself. The text says he created a space under an eternal, gentle sun. So he creates a microclimate.
Yes.
Yes.
A place where the rules of winter and summer just don't apply. And the imagery there is so vivid. The text describes spring roses blooming beside autumn chrysanthemums.
A total clash of textures and scents.
It's sensory overload. He has forced nature to exist all at once.
Okay, task 2, the bird.
This one is interesting because he summons a creature. The text describes a bird with feathers of gold and shadow. And when the sun rises, the bird sings a song of perfect sweetness.
But is it just a bird singing? Or is it something more?
The text suggests the song has an emotional resonance. It says the song greeted the dawn. It implies the bird is the bridge between the sun and the people watching. He fulfilled the specific requirement of the bird announcing the sunrise.
It has agency.
It has agency. And finally, the robe. This is the one I want to see.
Me too.
He weaves a robe where the silk changes with the light. The description is beautiful. Sky blue in daylight. Deep earth brown in shadow.
It almost sounds like he's weaving a mirror of the world.
That's a great way to put it. Think about the symmetry. The garden collapse, time all seasons in one place. The robe collapses space. It holds the sky and the earth. He is presenting her with mastery over the cosmos.
So he presents these three impossible objects to the emperor and Shirin. And naturally, the emperor is thrilled. He's probably thinking, great, wedding is on, deal is signed.
The emperor is ready to celebrate. But, and here's the twist, Shirin is skeptical.
Why? She got exactly what she asked for. He bent the laws of physics for her.
Because she is wise and proud. She looks at these wonders and she realizes, a normal human cannot do this. So she accuses Abdullah. She says, these wonders are made by sorcery, perhaps by spirits or genie.
That's a heavy accusation. She's basically asking, did you outsource this?
Exactly. It's a question of agency. If I ask a genie to build me a house, I didn't build the house. The genie did. She wants to marry a man of power, not a man who has a powerful friend. She says, I will only marry a man who can do these things himself.
She wants to know if the source of the power is internal.
Correct. She is testing his authenticity. And this is the make-or-break moment. Abdullah doesn't hide. He steps forward.
And he says,
I did them all with my own hands and mind. No external spirit helped me. He claims full ownership.
He asserts that his sorcery is a skill like carpentry or swordsmanship that he possesses. It's his.
It is. He claims human agency over the supernatural. It's a very humanist moment. He's saying, I'm the one who understands the garden and the light.
And Shirin buys it.
She doesn't just buy it. The text says she looked into his eyes and saw the truth. And that is the romantic turn. She smiles and says, then you are the one I will marry.
Wait, pause there. She says you, not the prince he was representing.
Correct. In that moment, the contract changes. The original deal was marry the prince if the tasks are done. But she realizes the prince didn't do the work. Abdullah did. She chooses the merit, not the title.
That is a massive breach of protocol. She is rejecting the son of the caliph for a random guy from Baghdad. The emperor must have been terrified.
The text glosses over the emperor's panic, but he consents. I think at that point, having seen the magic, nobody wanted to argue with Abdullah. A wedding is held right there in Constantinople.
So Abdullah, the guy who is secretly in love, actually gets the girl. But now they have the hard part. They have to go back to Baghdad.
Right. They have to face Harun al-Rashid, and this is where I expected the tragic ending. You don't double-cross a caliph.
No. Hey, boss, I didn't get the bride for your son, but meet my new wife. That is usually a beheading offense.
You would think. But Harun al-Rashid is portrayed here as a ruler who values merit above all else. When they return and explain what happened, the caliph isn't angry. The text says he was impressed by Abdullah's cleverness and courage.
He respected the hustle.
He respected the capability. The caliph had already identified this as a challenge of magic. He realizes that Abdullah possesses a power that is valuable to the state. Instead of punishing him, he gives him a high court position.
So it's a meritocracy. Abdullah goes from being a nobody to a high official because he proved he could do what the prince couldn't.
Precisely. And notice the fate of the prince.
Yeah, where is he in all this?
Nowhere. He completely vanishes from the story. He is irrelevant. The narrative doesn't care about him because he lacks the skill and love required to solve the problem.
And technically, the mission was a success, right? The vizier's goal was an alliance.
Yes. The bond between the two courts is formed, just through Abdullah and Shirin rather than the prince. The text concludes by saying the mission succeeded not through gold or armies, but through the love and skill of a young man.
Love and skill, that's the winning combination.
It is. The gold Jafar brought. Useless. The armies. Irrelevant. It required personal excellence. And I think the love part is crucial. Would Abdullah have been able to channel that level of magic if he was just doing it for a paycheck?
Probably not. The story suggests that his passion was the fuel.
Exactly. It suggests that true impossibility can only be overcome when you have both the technical skill and the emotional drive to see it through.
I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier. Princess Shirin's role in this. We called her the obstacle, but looking back, was she really?
That's the deeper reading, isn't it? If she just wanted to say no, She could have asked for something boringly impossible, like, bring me the moon.
Right, but she asked for specific, beautiful things.
I think she wasn't building a wall. She was building a filter. She was looking for a peer.
A peer.
Think about it. She's wise and proud. She probably feels isolated in her intelligence. She sets these tasks, the garden of all seasons, the robe of sky and earth, to see if there is anyone else out there who sees the world the way she does.
Oh, I love that. She isn't looking for the strongest man. She's looking for the man who understands poetry and physics.
She's sending out a signal. Is there anyone who has the vision to create a robe that holds the sky? A standard prince offering gold doesn't understand the assignment. He thinks it's a transaction. Abdullah understood it was art.
That explains her skepticism at the end. When she asks, did you do this yourself? She's checking. Are you the visionary or are you just the delivery guy?
Exactly. She needed to know the creativity came from him. Once she confirmed that, the marriage was inevitable. It was a meeting of minds.
And Harun al-Rashid recognizing that talent is the cherry on top. It paints a picture of a society where if you have that vision, if you can answer that call, you will be rewarded regardless of your rank.
It's a very optimistic view of human potential. It says that the impossible is just a puzzle waiting for the right person with the right motivation.
It's such a satisfying arc. You start with a heavy political burden, two empires needing an alliance, and you solve it with flowers, birds, and silk.
And a bit of sorcery.
And a bit of sorcery always helps.
Always helps.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the vizier and the princess of Rum, we're left with this image of the happy couple returning to Baghdad, having rewritten the rules of their world.
A happy ending earned through determination and lateral thinking.
Absolutely. Now, before we go, here's a thought I want to leave you with. We often look at impossible requirements in our lives, from our bosses, our partners, or society, as barriers designed to keep us out. We think they are setting us up to fail.
But are they?
Exactly. That's the question. In stories of impossible tasks, are the conditions set to push suitors away? Or are they actually an invitation? Are they a beacon, lit specifically to attract the one person who possesses the specific kind of vision needed to solve them?
That reframe might just change how you handle your next crisis.
It certainly changes how I look at a no. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
See you next time.